I was wondering about going over to the theater, but it's going to be too wet to sit on the chairs right now anyway. So, yeah, I know, at least it stopped raining. Let me think here. Maybe if we went over to, we could go over the stairs there, and then I guess I'm partly thinking of a group shot. If everyone's standing in the stairs, we get to see people a bit better than everyone. Yeah, so the other side there. Yeah.
I'm working on my house. What's Ted doing?
This is really
I know.
Well, I mean, like, very few people know cannabis. That culture is there, but we were doing the thing. They're good job for 7 years.
So come around right through here, guys. Like this kind of makes a nice shot here. Just have everybody kind of come down. We're gonna wait for my microphone and shit. I'm gonna lose my voice. Where's Clay in the water? Where's my love?
Hi, Ted.
Richard, get Clay up. Clay, have you got your water? Okay. What, on Angie? Or in the basket? If you come around here, Candy.
Thanks for coming.
I definitely saw you got a lot of activity going
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for being here and helping us. Yeah, thank you very much for being here in support of me and the club as I did that talk to City Council. I really don't see any other easy alternative for us but to come to City Council for sanctuary at this point. I truly hope it doesn't get to the point where we're trying to operate out of a tent somewhere here on city property. That's my worst fear. But that being said, we have to keep this medicine flowing, and while we could go to mail order, we still need a presence for many of our patients. We still need an easy, accessible place where people can meet with us face to face and discuss their medicines and have access to the full range of products that are easily available. Mail order doesn't work for everyone. In fact, that's one of our main arguments against Health Canada's programs. And it would be very, very sad for us if that was what we were forced into. So, we'll be doing our very best to maintain the services and the products of our club, despite whatever circumstances come to us. But they are certainly not getting easier. But there is a place that I think the City Council can let us use. There is rooms while they are being used by the city right now. There's like 90,000 square feet of office space in downtown Victoria that's not being used. So they could make room in this commercial space that they originally bought for a park, that just their plans fell through for that, and now this building's sitting there that could be used a lot better than it is now. But it's going to take a lot to convince this City Council that they need to do this. Not just the numbers that showed up here tonight, but certainly it did help to have such a large group of people in support of me. If I'd have been there with our board and staff, we'd have been literally dead in the water as an organization here. But I think we've set it off to a good foot. But tonight is really in some ways just the beginning of our new relationship with City Council. But I do believe it's possible. In fact, ironically, just before we found out about this civil forfeiture, we came back with a meeting with Marianne Alto, our mayor, in which she was very supportive. She was talking about not only writing letters to the Premier and the Solicitor General, Nina Krieger, on our behalf, but getting me meetings with Nina Krieger, getting me meetings with the Chief of Police, and doing whatever it took to support us. But again, that was before we found out about the civil forfeiture. And in a lot of ways, this really changes the situation dramatically. And so now we're not only asking for support in writing and in theory, but we're asking for support literally on the ground. And so it's something that if the mayor and council does this, there will be opposition. And we need to stand up and confront that and explain, why we're operating and how and why it's so important that our club is not only allowed to continue, but that other compassion clubs across Canada are allowed to operate. Because, we're the last one standing, but certainly we weren't the only one at one point. But the legalization has really squashed medical marijuana in general. They've tried to shove everyone into commercial recreational stores, and doctors don't want to talk about it. There's a hurdle of problems with it, despite how good of a medicine it is. So millions of Canadians are literally using recreational stores where they can't get any real good advice, certainly about drug interactions like CBD and such, that actually are a concern, especially for the elderly using blood thinners and other stuff like that. And so, we're doing our best to do that, but certainly Health Canada's program isn't. Health Canada's program's been inadequate and inefficient for their, 10 milligram limit, as I don't even need to tell anyone here about, but also, certainly the accessibility component. And so, we've been, preparing for years to go to court. I keep getting told there's one delay or one reason or another that we haven't gotten there yet. But certainly since the raid, we've been pressuring to get it going, to finish the last expert witness reports that we need done, because that's really, the most critical part. We've gotten some more affidavits. We really had enough already. We may even get a few more though, because they don't hurt. But it's a couple other things that we seem to be, held up with. But, we are doing our very best to get a court date. And really what we're asking our province for isn't actually to even take our side. It's just to stop and listen to what's happening, to wait for a judicial review and a court to determine whether there are significant constitutional issues here that, should be respected, and that it would be a complete travesty to shut our club down only to learn later on that in fact we were in the right and that patients' rights are being quashed. And so, we need to start a national debate on medical marijuana and the medical marijuana programs of Health Canada, with this as well. And so we're really engaged now in a multi-tiered sort of civil war. And so right now at City Hall, we're actually trying to get an ally here. We're not at war with City Hall in any way, shape, or form. These are the best and biggest friends that we could possibly have on the planet right now. If anyone's going to convince the provincial government that we need protection, it's going to be the folks that we just talked to. And I know several of them. I know the mayor actually pretty well. She even technically was my employee over 20 years ago when I was doing youth work. I've known other city councillors, or at least Chris Coleman, for a very long time. And many of the newer councillors are actually super supportive. I just haven't had a chance to work with them directly yet. But I really believe that the support is there, but that they need the push. And so our campaign right now is on, like I say, all sorts of levels. Certainly a lot of it is on social media, but a lot of it will be on the street as well. And so we'll be doing an action every Thursday until we find a new home and get settled one way or another. Some of those actions will be online, some of them will be in person, some of them will be, real full-tilt protests, and sometimes they'll be just gatherings like on June 11th is International Medical Marijuana Day, so we have a picnic at Beacon Hill Park. We're going to throw dodgeballs at each other and forget about this shit for a day. But anyway, so next week, for example, we're doing an online campaign I've thought about for years. It's simply called Pot Not Pills. We want people to take pictures of the drugs that they were using with a picture of the cannabis that they use now, like on it's how much they use on a daily basis or something, and show that online on every single forum, Reddit, Blue Sky, the obvious ones. But we need to show it with stories. We need people to understand just how many people have significantly improved their lives by quitting prescription drugs and turning to cannabis. Because it's something that, I think the general public doesn't understand very much. And when people use cannabis on a daily level, they need inexpensive, high-dosage edibles. They can't just live off of the high-priced, low-quality products that are out there. And the public needs to hear that. And so Pot Not Pills, again, it's a social media campaign. We're going to get people to post far and wide. The next one, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to gather at the Solicitor General's offices on Government Street. That's right downtown, right basically at Fort and Government, right down in the heart of the tourist center here. At that point, I'm actually going to give the mic up for most of it to our patients. You need to tell your stories. At every single one of these events, I'm typically the one standing up here ranting and raving, and people hear about me not wanting to comply, and that seems to be the focus in a lot of the discussions. But this isn't about me. This is about the people that would die without me, the people that would suffer in ways that is really completely irresponsible for this government to allow to happen. And so in 2 weeks from now, we're going to meet at high noon, and we're going to spend as long as it takes to give every patient that wants to get that microphone a chance to get up and speak in front of their peers, in front of the tourists, in front of anybody willing to listen to our plea and our cause. And I think the following week we're going to do something I've done in the past. It's not my first rodeo, right? So in the past I've done something called a phone jam, where we pick an office and we shut it down. We send so many phone calls and emails that it's effectively unable to operate for the day. So we've done that sort of thing in the past, and we're going to do it again. And so I have in mind who it might be, but at this point I'm not wanting to think too far in advance, because this needs to be very fluid. There may be other opportunities for us to get out and do and say things, so I'm not going to commit too far in advance. I will commit to 2 weeks from now at the Solicitor General's place there, and certainly the Pot Not Pills rally. So we're doing, obviously, an online social media campaign in every level, and we're getting all sorts of help. Just this afternoon, the new leader of the Green Party, Emily Lohan, put out a really amazing video at over 1,000 views in the first 10 minutes that it was out there. And so that was really wonderful to see. I just did an interview yesterday with Montel Williams, a former TV talk show host in the United States who got MS and had to quit his show, who's now got a podcast. There are a lot of people out there that we'll be targeting as well along the way to get their attention to this issue, including celebrities and media personalities, people like Tommy Perk Chong, who's literally cured himself of cancer by using high-dose cannabis suppositories, and he's just laughing his way to the bank. He's not up here fighting for other patients, but we're going to get his attention one day, and hopefully he'll do something with that, because we need to pull out all the stops here. Everybody and anybody that can help us needs to now, because if this club fails, this country will never see compassion clubs for my lifetime, or maybe your children's lifetime. We've had something beautiful in this country before legalization, and it's almost been completely taken away. We are like the last vestige of that, and we have every reason to continue to fight. And so there's a lot of different things that are happening, and so if there's anything that you can do, or people that you can send our way, please do. And so yeah, that's kind of the game plan here. We're certainly keeping our focus on David Eby throughout this until we get an answer, one way or another. And so obviously we're hoping for a positive one. But at this point, to my knowledge, no one in the government's responded to anyone that's written emails about this at all. It's just kind of like putting the tail on the donkey out there, which is why I have so much hope and faith placed in the mayor being able to get the attention of these other authorities, because it seems like none of us are able to do so. So we need to put our efforts behind this mayor and city council. So on social media, starting tomorrow, I'm going to put out the contact information. There's actually one email you can send that the whole mayor and council get. So we'll be putting that out there, as well as still continuing focus on David Eby. But we need to turn our attention now to this mayor and council. Again, they have the space. They just need to have the willpower, and we need to give them that. And I think we started with that tonight. I can't thank you all enough for being here. And I really hope that we're able to not only convince this council, but this country that significant changes need to be made, that the opioid crisis doesn't need to be going in this terrible direction if we are giving cannabis instead of opioids in the hospitals for people coming out of surgeries, and for all sorts of other ailments that people use cannabis for, that opioids shouldn't be used for until a very last resort. And so, yeah, there's all sorts of people and places to advocate here, and yeah, no single one of us could ever do all of that. So, again, I really appreciate the army of people that are willing to help and do anything and everything that we're needing to be done. And so, I'm just going to invite Playa up here. I forgot to remind her, but my love Playa, as well as the landlord potentially losing the building because we've been a tenant for a couple of years. My love Playa has a lien against our home, and she'd like to thank you.
Really thank everybody who showed up tonight. It's pretty incredible.
Closer. Mike, closer.
Not again. Oh my God, I love crowds. I want to just thank everybody that showed up tonight. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's the fight of our lives, and we need every single person. Thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. If anybody wants to come back to the club here, we're going to be hanging out there and sitting around for a little while, so you're welcome to join us there. Have a good night, everyone.